The crystal palace stood tall over the shining city of Varine. Its towers were made of silver glass that caught the morning sun and scattered light across the sky. Soldiers in golden armor stood along the palace stairs. They carried long spears that hummed with quiet energy. Every guard bowed as the royal banners of the queen were raised above the main gate. Inside, servants hurried through wide marble halls, preparing for an unexpected gathering called by their ruler. The Queen of Varine, known to all as Queen Serana, was a woman of great command. Her voice alone could silence hundreds, and her eyes saw through falsehood like steel cutting glass. That morning she had received strange news that disturbed her calm. Her daughter, Princess Lyra, had returned from her journey to the northern colonies. She was supposed to bring reports about trade and defense, yet the message said she did not come back alone. She came with a human. Humans were known in the Varine Empire, but only through stories of their small colonies scattered among the outer stars. They were not counted among the great races. The Queen's Council often spoke of them as weak and short-lived, useful only for trade or exploration. No one could imagine a human walking into the royal palace beside the princess. The grand hall was prepared for the Queen's arrival. A long carpet stretched from the gate to the silver throne. Hundreds of nobles filled the room, whispering with nervous excitement. The Queen entered with her royal guard, her crown glimmering in the soft blue light. She moved with the dignity of a leader who had ruled for decades. Her presence alone made the crowd lower their heads. The Queen raised one hand and silence fell. She looked toward the entrance of the hall. Two guards stepped aside and announced the arrival of Princess Lyra. The doors opened wide and everyone turned their eyes toward her. The princess walked in slowly, her long silver dress trailing behind. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed strength. Beside her walked a man no one had seen before. His hair was dark, his skin tanned by sun, and his clothes simple but clean. He was clearly not of their world. The nobles began to whisper. Some looked shocked. Others laughed softly, thinking it was a joke. The Queen's expression hardened as she studied the stranger. The man stood straight and proud, but there was no arrogance in his posture. He carried no weapon, no symbol of power, only quiet confidence. The princess stopped before the throne and bowed deeply. The man followed her example. Queen Serana spoke with a tone that filled the entire hall. "My daughter, you were sent to the northern colonies to oversee our borders and trade. I expected a report of your success, not the company of an unknown man." "Who is he?" The hall grew silent. Every eye turned to the princess. Her hands trembled slightly, but she raised her head and met her mother's gaze. Her voice was gentle but clear enough for all to hear. "He is my husband," she said. "He is human." The words struck the court like thunder. The nobles gasped. Some shouted in disbelief. Others covered their mouths in shock. Even the guards looked at one another, unsure if they had heard correctly. A human, married to the heir of the Varine throne, was unthinkable. The Queen's eyes widened slightly before narrowing again. Her voice became cold. "Your husband, you say? A human?" The princess nodded once. "Yes, my husband, Rian of Astra." The Queen stood from her throne. "This cannot be. Our laws forbid marriage between royal blood and outsiders. You know this. You defy the will of your people and your ancestors." Lyra's voice grew stronger. "Mother, I have not defied them. I have followed the truth of the Heartstone. It chose him. It accepted him." The mention of the Heartstone caused murmurs among the nobles. The Heartstone was sacred. It could sense deceit and judge purity of soul. No one could touch it without the risk of being consumed by its light. The Queen looked at her daughter in disbelief. "You speak of the Heartstone lightly. It accepts only those of our blood." Rian stepped forward for the first time. His voice was calm and respectful. "Your Majesty, I understand your anger. I do not ask for your crown or your throne. I ask only that you see I mean no harm to your daughter or your people." His words surprised many. The translator crystals at the hall's corners changed his speech into the Varine language perfectly. His accent was strange, yet his tone carried honesty. The Queen studied him for a long time. She saw no fear in his eyes, only sincerity. "Do you understand what you have done?" she asked him. "You have entered a world where humans are not welcome. You claim to have touched our sacred stone and lived. If this is true, then you carry something the Varine cannot ignore." Rian bowed his head slightly. "If I am not welcome, I will leave. But the princess has chosen to stand with me, and I will not abandon her." The Queen looked between them. Her anger fought against curiosity. She wanted to punish her daughter for this betrayal of tradition, yet part of her wished to know how this man had survived the touch of the Heartstone. She turned to her guards. "Summon the High Priest. We shall test this claim. If the Heartstone accepted him, it will show us." The princess stepped forward. "Mother, please, there is no need. The stone has already spoken." But the queen shook her head. "If it has spoken once, it will speak again." The guards bowed and left to prepare the sacred chamber. The queen turned to the nobles. "The court is dismissed. Only the royal family and the human will remain." When the hall was empty, the queen stepped closer to Rian. She was taller than him, and her presence was heavy with authority. "Tell me, human, why did my daughter bring you here? Was it ambition or survival?" Rian met her eyes without hesitation. "Neither. She saved my life when my ship crashed near her outpost. I had no power, no knowledge of your world. She could have left me to die. Instead, she showed me kindness. I came to know her not as a princess, but as a person. I did not plan for this. But I will stand by her with all that I am." The queen listened quietly. His words carried no arrogance. She found herself searching for deception but saw none. Still, she could not allow emotion to overrule law. "We will see if your words are true," she said and turned away. Later that day, the royal guards led Rian and Lyra through narrow halls deep within the palace. The walls glowed faintly, carved with symbols of the old language. At the end of the passage stood a heavy door guarded by 2 warriors. They stepped aside when the queen arrived. Inside the chamber, the Heartstone floated above a pedestal, shining with soft white light. The air was still, almost sacred. The queen motioned for Rian to step forward. "Place your hand upon the stone. If you are what my daughter claims, it will not harm you. If not, your deceit will end here." The princess reached for his arm. "Rian, you do not have to—" He smiled gently and shook his head. "It is all right." He stepped forward. The glow of the Heartstone brightened as he came near. The priest watching held their breath. When his fingers touched the surface, the light expanded across the room. The queen shielded her eyes. The color of the light changed from white to gold, then to pure blue. When it faded, Rian still stood unharmed. The priests fell to their knees. One of them whispered, "The heart accepts him. The light has spoken." The queen stared, speechless for the first time in years. The Heartstone had never shown that color before. She looked at her daughter, who stood proud yet humble. "Mother," Lyra said softly, "you see now. The stone knows him. It knows his truth." The queen did not answer. Her thoughts raced between duty and wonder. A human had done what no alien of their kind could. It was either a miracle or a danger beyond reason. She turned back to the guards. "Take him to the guest quarters. No one is to harm him. Until I decide, he remains under royal protection." The princess bowed deeply. "Thank you, mother." As they left the chamber, the queen looked once more at the glowing stone. Its light pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. She whispered to herself, "Who is he truly?" In the silence of the sacred room, the Heartstone gave no answer. Yet the air felt changed, as if the world itself had started to shift. The queen knew that from this moment forward, nothing in the Vereen Empire would ever be the same again. The next morning, the twin suns rose above the shining city of Vereen. Their light filled the crystal towers, turning them into mirrors of gold. The palace servants began their work in silence. Every corridor carried whispers about the human who had touched the Heartstone and lived. None could understand how such a thing was possible. Some called it luck. Others said it was a trick. A few even whispered that it was fate. Rian sat by the window of the royal guest quarters watching the sunrise. He had never seen such beauty. The air shimmered like silver mist. The city below moved with quiet grace. Everything about this world felt too perfect, too clean, too ordered. He knew he did not belong here, yet part of him felt calm. He thought of Lyra, her kindness, her strength, and the risk she had taken to bring him into her world. The door opened softly. Princess Lyra entered, wearing simple white robes instead of her royal dress. Her face brightened when she saw him. "You slept well?" she asked. Rian smiled faintly. "As well as I could, surrounded by guards and golden walls." She sat beside him. "Mother allowed you to live. That is more mercy than most expected," he nodded. "I know, but mercy can change quickly." Lyra looked out the window. "You should not fear her. She will test you again, but not with swords. She will watch your heart." "I have nothing to hide," Rian said. If she asks for truth, she will have it. The princess turned toward him. Then you must be careful with your words. The court is filled with those who seek to twist truth into chains. Before he could answer, a knock sounded. A royal guard stepped inside and bowed. Her Majesty requests the presence of the human at the council chamber. Ryan stood. Then I must not keep her waiting. Lyra rose too. I will come with you. The guard hesitated. The queen asked for him alone. Lyra frowned. He is my husband. The guard lowered his eyes. It is her order, princess. Ryan placed his hand on her arm. It is fine. I will be careful. She nodded slowly, but her worry was clear. Remember who you are, Rian of Astra. He followed the guard through long corridors lined with silver pillars. The air was cool and silent. At last they reached the great council chamber. The queen sat at a circular table with 12 council members, each representing a house of the empire. Their robes were of different colors, showing their rank and power. When Ryan entered, every eye turned toward him. The queen gestured to a seat across from her. Sit, human, Ryan obeyed. The queen spoke without expression. The Heartstone accepted you. That cannot be denied. But one act does not earn trust. We will learn who you are through your own words. One of the counselors leaned forward. He was tall, with silver hair and sharp eyes. You come from Astra, a human colony. What purpose brought you near our borders? Ryan answered calmly. I was an engineer on a survey ship. We were studying energy fields beyond your empire's border. Our ship lost power and crashed. Another counselor, this one a woman with green markings on her skin, spoke next. So your people explore without permission. You invade our space and call it an accident? Ryan shook his head. We meant no invasion. Our maps are not the same as yours. We did not even know your empire existed until your patrol found us. The queen watched him closely. And yet you survived when others would not. How many of your crew lived? None, Ryan said quietly. Only me. A brief silence filled the chamber. Even the counselors softened their expressions. The queen leaned back slightly. You claim no knowledge of us, no desire to harm us. Yet you stand here, chosen by the Heartstone. Tell me, what do you believe that means? Ryan thought for a moment. Maybe it means the stone saw me as I am. Not as human or alien, but as someone who meant no harm. The queen's lips tightened. The stone does not choose lightly. Perhaps it sees something beyond what we can, or perhaps it was deceived. I do not know, your majesty, Ryan replied, but I will not lie about what I am. I am only a man who wants peace. The counselors began to whisper among themselves. The queen raised a hand and silence returned. Peace is not simple in a world ruled by power. If you wish to live here, you will have to prove you are more than soft words. Ryan met her gaze. Then tell me how I can prove it. Her eyes glimmered with a faint light. You will serve this court as an advisor on human technology. You will work under my command. If you fail or betray my trust, there will be no second chance. Rian bowed his head. I accept. The queen stood. Then let it be recorded. The human Ryan of Astra will serve under royal watch. His actions will decide his fate. When the meeting ended, 2 guards escorted Ryan to the palace workshop. It was a vast chamber filled with old machines, many covered in dust. The workers there stopped what they were doing as he entered. A tall man with bronze armor approached him. So you are the human who impressed the queen. I am Darn, master of the forge. This is my domain. You will not touch anything unless told. Ryan smiled politely. Understood. Darn studied him for a moment. These machines were built by the ancestors of Vareen. Even we do not understand all of them. If you think your human tools can fix what we cannot, you are welcome to try. Rian walked around examining the devices. They were strange but familiar in concept. Energy lines, conduits, power nodes. He touched one of the old consoles and heard a faint hum. This one still lives, he said. Darn frowned. That console has been dead for years. Ryan crouched beside it, checking the base. No, the problem is not in the core. It's in the bridge conductor. He took a small tool from his belt, a simple device of human design, and adjusted a loose connector. The machine gave a stronger hum. Then the lights came alive across the workshop. Workers gasped as ancient screens flickered to life. Darn's eyes widened. How did you do that? Ryan stood and wiped his hands. Same way I fix anything. I listened to it. The workers looked at each other in disbelief. Darn crossed his arms. Maybe you are useful after all. But do not think one act makes you a master. I don't, Ryan said. I just want to help. For the next several hours, Ryan worked beside the palace engineers. He repaired broken sensors and restarted old defense drones. His methods were simple but effective. He taught them ways to stabilize energy flows using small adjustments that the Varine had never considered. The workers began to respect him quietly, though they said little aloud. As evening came, the Queen visited the workshop. The workers bowed at once. Ryan turned and bowed as well. "Your Majesty." She looked around at the restored lights and humming machines. "I see you have been busy," Ryan nodded. "Your people built these machines with great skill. They only needed a small touch to wake again." The Queen walked closer. "You speak with respect. I expected arrogance from one who challenged tradition." "I challenge nothing," Ryan said. "I only follow what is right." The Queen studied him carefully. "You speak of right and wrong as if the universe is simple. It is not." "Maybe not," he said. "But someone has to try to make it simple." For the first time, a faint smile touched her lips, though it vanished quickly. "You speak boldly, human. My daughter sees something in you. Perhaps now I begin to see it too." She turned to leave but stopped at the door. "You will attend the evening feast. The court must see that I do not fear your presence." Ryan bowed again. "As you wish." When she was gone, Darn approached him. "You must have done something rare." "The Queen never smiles." Ryan looked at the glowing machines. "Maybe she smiles when she remembers hope." That night, as stars rose over the city, the palace came alive with music. The feast was not only a display of power, but also a test of loyalty. Ryan entered the hall beside Lyra, who wore a blue gown that shimmered like water. The nobles stared at them, whispering behind jeweled fans. The Queen sat on her throne, silent but observant. As they walked past, Ryan felt the weight of 100 eyes on him. Yet he kept his head high. The Queen watched his every step. She wanted to see if he would falter under pressure. But he did not. He moved with calm grace, as if the hall belonged to no one and everyone at once. The Queen's advisor leaned close to her. "He carries himself without fear. Perhaps he hides his weakness well." The Queen's eyes never left Ryan. Or perhaps he hides nothing at all. The feast continued with laughter and music. Yet beneath the beauty of the hall, a quiet tension grew. The nobles saw Ryan not as a guest, but as a sign of change. Some feared him, others envied him. None understood that the quiet human who stood among them would soon decide the fate of their world. The next morning, the sound of drums echoed through the palace walls. The Queen's messengers ran through the streets of Varine, spreading a single message. The human would face the trial of blood. It was an ancient custom older than the empire itself. It was said to reveal the true spirit of a person, showing whether they carried courage or deceit. The Queen had called for it to end all doubt. Inside the palace courtyard, thousands of citizens gathered to witness the event. Silver flags waved in the wind. The high walls of the arena glimmered under the suns. Priests in blue robes prepared the sacred circle at the center, drawing symbols on the ground with glowing dust. The Heartstone's reflection was placed above the arena, connected by beams of light. It would judge what the eyes could not. Princess Lyra stood near the entrance, her heart heavy with fear. Ryan stood beside her, calm as always. He wore a plain uniform given by the palace guards. His face showed no fear, but his eyes carried quiet determination. "You do not have to do this," Lyra whispered. "The Heartstone already accepted you." Ryan shook his head. "Your mother needs proof in front of her people. I will give it to her." Lyra looked into his eyes. "They will not make it easy." "I do not need it to be easy," he said softly. "I just need to be honest." Before she could answer, the Queen arrived with her royal guard. The crowd went silent. Queen Serana wore her ceremonial armor, black and gold, symbol of the Varine throne. She stood above the circle and raised her staff. "People of Varine," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Today we test the truth of the human who claims the hand of my daughter. The Heartstone has shown favor once. Let us see if it speaks again." The crowd cheered. Some shouted in support, others in anger. To many, the thought of a human in the royal line was an insult. To others, it was a curiosity worth watching. The Queen turned to Ryan. "Step forward." Ryan stepped into the sacred circle. The symbols beneath his feet began to glow. The priests started chanting in the old tongue, their voices deep and rhythmic. The air grew thick with energy. The Queen spoke again. "The trial of blood has 3 paths: strength, truth, and spirit. Each path reveals a part of who you are. Fail in one and the stone will turn against you. Ryan nodded. I understand. The queen pointed her staff toward the first circle. Begin with strength. From the shadows of the arena, 3 armored warriors appeared. Each carried a weapon glowing with energy. Their armor bore the marks of the royal guard. They bowed to the queen, then faced Ryan. The crowd cheered louder. These were no ordinary soldiers. They were the best of the queen's elite. One of them, a tall woman with silver markings, stepped forward. You may yield at any time, human. This is not a battle for your life. Ryan smiled faintly. I will remember that. The queen lowered her hand, signaling the start. The first warrior rushed forward, swinging a heavy blade. Ryan moved quickly, stepping aside. The blade struck the ground, sending sparks into the air. Ryan grabbed a fallen staff from the ground and blocked the next attack. His movements were simple but precise. He did not fight with brute force, but with timing and balance. The crowd watched in surprise as the human dodged strike after strike. He was smaller, slower by alien standards, yet he wasted no motion. Every step had purpose. The second warrior joined the fight, striking from behind. Ryan rolled aside, using his staff to push one opponent into the other. They collided, and he disarmed one with a quick move learned from years of engineering work. Small leverage, perfect pressure. When the third warrior entered, Ryan found himself surrounded. He took a deep breath. The ground beneath him glowed brighter, responding to his rising heart. The energy of the circle tested not only his strength but his will. The warriors came at him together, but he used their weight against them. With one final turn, he struck the base of the lead warrior's armor, breaking its power flow. The armor shut down, leaving her unable to move. The queen raised her staff again. Enough, the warrior stepped back. The crowd cheered wildly. Even those who doubted him began to clap. Ryan dropped his staff and bowed. The queen's expression remained unreadable. You have passed strength, she said. Now we test truth. The priest brought forward a small crystal bowl filled with silver water. They placed it in front of Ryan. The queen spoke again. This is the water of reflection. When you touch it, it will show your soul. Lies will turn the water black. Truth will keep it clear. Speak what you value most. Ryan knelt and looked into the water. His reflection shimmered. What I value most, he said slowly, is life in all forms. I saw death in the stars. I saw people fight for power until nothing was left. I promised myself I would never walk that path again. He placed his hand in the water. The surface rippled, then glowed with soft blue light. The crowd gasped. The water remained clear. The priest bowed low. He speaks true. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, but she said nothing. Now we test spirit. The last trial was unlike the others. The priests dimmed the light of the arena, leaving only the glow of the heartstone's reflection above. They began to chant again, and a faint wind rose around Ryan. The light surrounded him, lifting him slightly from the ground. His eyes closed as he felt warmth flow through his body. He saw images in his mind, memories, fears, and hopes. He saw the faces of his lost crew, their final moments. He saw the day his ship fell from the sky and the moment he met Lyra. He heard her voice calling his name. Then he heard another voice, one older and deeper, coming from the light itself. Human of Astra, your heart carries both pain and hope. Why do you seek the throne of stars? Ryan answered softly. I seek no throne. I only wish to build, to heal, to make peace where others choose war. The voice paused, then said, And if peace demands sacrifice, then I will give what I must, Ryan said. Because love and peace are not taken, they are given. The light brightened until it filled the entire arena. The crowd shielded their eyes. When the light faded, Ryan stood back on the ground. The symbols beneath his feet turned gold. The priest fell silent. The heartstone's reflection pulsed once, then returned to white. Queen Serana rose from her seat. The stone has spoken, she said. The human has passed all 3 paths. The trial of blood is complete. The crowd erupted in cheers and awe. Some shouted his name. Others bowed their heads in respect. Never before had an outsider passed all 3 trials. The queen looked at Ryan for a long moment. Her eyes held both pride and fear. She turned to her daughter. Princess Lyra, you have chosen a path that none before you dared walk. May the gods grant us wisdom for what comes next. Lyra ran to Ryan and took his hands. You did it, she said, her voice full of relief. Ryan smiled. I told you I would be honest. The queen raised her staff again and the noise quieted. Ryan of Astra, she said, By the will of the Heartstone and the judgment of this court, you are declared an ally of the Varine Empire. Your bond with my daughter stands recognized by the light. But know this, acceptance does not mean safety. There are those who will never forgive what has happened here today. Ryan bowed deeply. I understand, Your Majesty. I will earn their respect, not demand it. The Queen turned away, hiding the faintest smile. We shall see. As the crowd began to disperse, dark clouds formed on the horizon. The palace guards looked up uneasily. Far in the distance, strange lights flickered above the mountains. The Queen noticed them too and frowned. The Draxon fleet moves again, she whispered to her general. They will not wait long. That night, as silence fell over the palace, Ryan stood on the balcony of his room. Lyra joined him, her eyes full of both pride and worry. You are part of our world now, she said. But danger is coming. The Draxon have always wanted the Heartstone. Ryan looked at the stars. Then we will face them together. Lyra smiled softly. You speak like a soldier. He shook his head. No. Like someone who has something worth protecting. Below them, the city lights flickered as energy flowed through the newly repaired systems Ryan had restored. The Queen watched from her own chamber window, deep in thought. The Heartstone had accepted the human, but in her heart, she knew that peace never came without cost. The trial of blood had proven his worth, but it had also awakened something ancient, something that would soon test not just Ryan, but the fate of the entire empire. The city of Varine seemed calm under the twin suns, but the palace knew otherwise. Ryan had passed the trial of blood, proving his strength, honesty, and spirit. Yet even the triumph of that moment could not erase the growing tension. The Draxon Empire, a rival power from the outer systems, had long sought the Heartstone. Now reports of their fleet moving closer spread through the palace like wildfire. The Queen, Princess Lyra, and Ryan knew the test of peace had only just begun. In the workshop, Ryan walked among the engineers he had trained. The machines he had repaired glowed softly, filling the room with quiet energy. We have little time, he said. If the Draxon fleet attacks, we cannot rely on old defenses alone. The engineers exchanged glances. Many of them had spent decades maintaining ancient systems. They were skilled, but human methods were unfamiliar. Ryan knelt beside a pulse shield generator and adjusted its power distribution. We can use your existing shields in a new way, he explained. We will amplify the energy lines, but only when needed. This will conserve power and protect more of the city at once. One engineer hesitated, but this method has never been tried before. I know, Ryan said calmly. But we have no choice. The enemy does not wait for preparation. Hours passed and the engineers followed his guidance. Drones once considered useless now flew in precise patterns, forming protective formations over the palace. Energy grids were rerouted to strengthen critical points in the walls. Every move was simple in design yet effective, blending human ingenuity with Varine technology. Meanwhile, Princess Lyra met with her mother. Queen Serana had summoned her to the throne room, a serious expression on her face. You bring him into our world, the Queen said. And now you involve him in war. Lyra bowed her head. He has proven himself, Mother. He is no ordinary human. He can help us protect the city. The Queen looked distant, her eyes reflecting the city below. I do not yet know if he is capable of standing against the Draxon, but I will not deny the truth. He passed the Heartstone, survived the trial of blood, and now he has prepared our defenses. Perhaps we are wiser than we know. That evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, strange lights appeared on the horizon. Scouts reported ships in formation, massive vessels glinting in the fading light. The Draxon fleet had arrived sooner than expected. The city's alarm bells rang, sending soldiers rushing to their posts. Citizens hurried into protected areas. Energy shields rose along the walls and drones flew overhead in protective arcs. Ryan stood beside Lyra on the balcony of the palace. They are larger than we expected, she said. Do you think the city can withstand them? He studied the fleet, his jaw tight. If we fight like we always have, no. But we will fight like humans, like Varine, like allies together. Then we have a chance. Lyra nodded, placing her hand on his arm. Your methods are strange to them, but they listen. That gives hope. Ryan smiled faintly. Hope is a weapon we can always use. The first wave of Draxon ships approached, their energy weapons glowing with red light. Soldiers fired back and energy shields shimmered as beams struck the walls. The palace drones moved in coordinated formations, intercepting missiles and redirecting energy attacks. Ryan guided the operation, giving precise instructions. Shift the left grid 3 degrees, he called. Redirect the drones to cover the southern flank. Keep the shields in pulse mode until their next attack. The Varine soldiers moved faster, responding to the humans' commands with accuracy. Even the most skeptical officers watched in awe. They had never seen strategies so simple yet effective. Each maneuver seemed impossible, yet it worked. The first wave of attacks failed, leaving the Draxan fleet confused. Ryan and Lyra stood together in the command tower. Below them, the city's defenses adapted like living creatures, responding to Ryan's guidance. Lyra's hand rested on his shoulder. "They will not give up," she said. "They will return in force." "I know," he replied. "And we will be ready. We must learn from every move they make. They will think in patterns. We will think differently." The second wave came with heavier ships, their weapons stronger, their formations tighter. The palace shields absorbed much of the energy, but some drones were destroyed. Ryan adjusted the grids again. "Focus on mobility. Let the walls take the first hit. Use the drones to flank and confuse them. Timing is everything." As the battle raged, Ryan noticed a large Draxan ship approaching the palace directly. Its energy cannon charged with deadly intensity. Soldiers panicked, unsure if their shields could hold. Ryan made a quick decision. "Take the orbital drones and intercept that ship before it fires. Use the magnetic pulse to disable its engines. I will coordinate from here." The drones moved like a swarm, guided by Ryan's commands. The massive ship fired, but the pulse disrupted its engines. It spun out of control, colliding with smaller ships in the fleet. The Draxan soldiers scrambled, unable to regain control. The palace erupted in cheers, but Ryan stayed focused. "They will not stop," he said. "We must prepare for the next move." Hours passed. The sun set completely, leaving the city under the glow of shields and energy lights. The Draxan fleet, battered but not defeated, began to retreat. The soldiers of Varine were exhausted but alive. The palace drones and repaired machines under Ryan's guidance had protected the city. The city had survived the first test of war. Princess Lyra hugged Ryan tightly. "You saved us," she said. "All of us," he shook his head. "I only helped you use what was already here. You and your people fought with courage. That is what truly saved the city." The queen entered the control room, her armor gleaming even under the dim light. She approached Ryan. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "Your mind and your courage have protected my people. Perhaps humans are not as weak as the stories claimed." Ryan bowed. "I am honored, Your Majesty. I only wish to protect what is right." The queen's eyes softened for a moment. "You have gained my attention and my respect. But this is only the beginning. The Draxan Empire will return, and next time their strength will be greater." Ryan nodded. "Then we will be ready together." That night the city celebrated quietly. Soldiers repaired damage, drones recharged, and citizens gave thanks for survival. Ryan walked through the streets with Lyra, seeing the relief on their faces. They no longer whispered about him as an outsider. Instead, they looked at him with cautious admiration. The princess squeezed his hand. "You have changed their minds, Ryan. You are no longer just a human." He smiled softly. "I am still a human, but maybe that is enough." High above, the queen watched from her tower. She knew the Draxan threat was far from over, yet she also knew that the human her daughter loved had proven himself in ways few could imagine. Strength, truth, spirit, and now courage under fire. Perhaps the Empire had found a new kind of ally, one that would change the balance of power among the stars. The morning after the battle, the palace was quiet. The twin suns rose slowly over the city of Varine, turning the towers into pillars of gold and silver. The streets below were calm, though traces of the Draxan attack could still be seen. Soldiers moved carefully, repairing walls and recalibrating energy shields. Citizens whispered in amazement about the human who had helped protect their city. Some stared in wonder, while others shook their heads in disbelief. In the grand hall, the queen sat on her throne. Her golden crown glimmered in the soft sunlight. Today, she would make a decision that would affect the entire empire. Princess Lyra stood beside her, calm and composed. Her eyes shifted occasionally toward the entrance where Ryan waited. His presence filled the hall with a quiet confidence. He did not carry weapons or armor, yet there was strength in his posture. The queen's eyes scanned him carefully. "Ryan of Astra," she said, "you have survived the trial of blood. You have proven courage, strength, and honesty. You have helped protect this city from a great threat. Your actions speak louder than words. Yet your presence here is not simple. Many among my court and my people still question your place. Rian bowed deeply. Your Majesty, I do not seek to replace anyone. I am here only to support your daughter and to protect the people who welcomed me. The Queen studied him. Support and protection are valuable, but the traditions of Vareen are older than you can imagine. For centuries we have lived by rules that separate our kind from outsiders. You have broken that rule, yet you have proven that the rule may not always serve the greater good. She paused and looked at Lyra. And you, my daughter, you claim him as your husband. You risk not only your position but the stability of the Empire. Why do you trust a human so fully? Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. Mother, Ryan is not like other humans. He is brave, honest, and wise. He respects our people and our laws, even as he introduces new ways to protect and improve them. He chose courage over fear and action over retreat. He is worthy not because he is human, but because he is him. The Queen's eyes softened for a moment, but her voice remained strong. I see that your bond is not empty words. You have tested him, watched him, and he has proven himself. But how will the court, the people, and our allies react? You know there are those who will never accept this. Rian spoke calmly. I understand, Your Majesty. I cannot change the past, but I can work for the future. I will serve not to claim power, but to protect and build peace. If others doubt me, I will earn their trust, not demand it. The Queen leaned back in her throne, her mind weighing the future. Her people were cautious and proud, yet even they had seen the truth of the human's actions. He had passed trials thought impossible. He had protected the city when their greatest defenses failed. He had shown courage, strategy, and care. Finally, the Queen raised her hand. The hall fell silent. Ryan of Astra, she said, you have shown the heart and mind of one who can stand among the Vareen. Your bond with my daughter is recognized. From this day forward, you are an ally of the Vareen Empire, protected by royal decree. Your place is not above our people, nor equal in power, but as one who walks beside them to guide, protect, and serve. Ryan bowed once more. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will honor this trust with all that I have. The Queen's gaze shifted toward the court. Let it be known throughout the Empire, the princess's choice is recognized. The human is no longer a stranger, but an ally. Let all prepare, for the peace we enjoy today may be challenged tomorrow. Yet if we are united, nothing can break us. The hall erupted with whispers, then applause. Some counselors looked uncertain, others nodded with quiet approval. Even the soldier standing guard bowed in respect. The Queen's voice rose above the murmurs. This decision is final. Princess Lyra ran to Ryan and took his hands. It is done, she said. You are part of our world. Ryan smiled faintly. No, you are part of mine as well. The Queen watched the two together. For the first time, she felt the quiet hope of the future. This human, small in size but vast in courage, had changed not only her daughter's life but the potential of her entire empire. Later that day, Ryan and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. Flowers of silver and gold swayed in the gentle wind, streams of water reflected the suns, and the air carried the faint hum of the city below. Citizens passed, bowing respectfully, many smiling at the human who had proven himself. Do you see how they react now? Lyra said. They no longer whisper only in doubt. They watch you with curiosity and respect. Ryan nodded. I do, and I hope to continue earning it. A guard approached and whispered to Ryan. Your presence is requested in the workshop. Another set of repairs must be prepared. Reports say the Draxon fleet may return soon. Ryan's jaw tightened. Then we begin immediately. Peace is fragile, and we cannot rely on luck. In the palace workshop, Ryan inspected the systems again. The drones flew overhead in organized formations. Shields were ready, power grids optimized. Engineers worked quietly under his instructions. Though he had human methods, the Vareen workers had learned quickly. They moved with precision, following his guidance without hesitation. Princess Lyra entered the workshop quietly. They may return, but now we are ready, she said. And with you I am not afraid. Ryan smiled softly. Neither am I. The people, the city, and the empire, they are strong. I only add a hand to guide them. That evening, the Queen summoned both Ryan and Lyra to the observation tower. From there, she could see the stars in the distance and the calm of the city below. The Draxon will not wait long, she said. But today we have made a choice. The human is recognized, and the empire stands stronger for it. You have proven yourself in every way that matters. Ryan bowed. I will continue to prove myself, Your Majesty. I will protect this city, your people, and your daughter. The queen looked at her daughter. Lyra's hand rested on Ryan's arm. She saw trust, love, and courage reflected in both of them. It is strange, she admitted softly, to see a human stand as more than a stranger. Perhaps this is what the future requires. A mind that thinks differently, a heart that chooses courage over fear. The princess nodded. And a hand to hold when the storms come. High above, the stars began to shimmer. The city rested under a calm night sky. For now, the empire was safe. The queen's judgment had sealed a new chapter in Varine's history. A human stood not only as a visitor, but as an ally, a protector, and a partner in shaping the future. Ryan looked toward the horizon, the weight of responsibility upon him. The Draxen will come again, he said quietly. But we are ready. Lyra squeezed his hand. Together we can face anything. The queen watched them silently, a quiet acknowledgement of hope in her heart. Perhaps the human was the key to a new era, a time when courage, honesty, and love could change the fate of the stars. As the night deepened, the palace of Varine rested under the twin moons, and the city slept peacefully, unaware that a human had not only survived, but had earned a place among them. The Empire had accepted him, and in doing so, had opened the door to a future neither alien nor human could have predicted alone. For Princess Lyra and Ryan, the path ahead was full of challenges, but now they faced it together. Hand in hand, they looked toward the stars, ready to defend their world, their love, and the hope of all who would follow. The queen's voice whispered across the hall as she turned toward the balcony. The Heartstone has chosen well. May this choice guide us wisely. And so the human of Astra stood among the stars, not as a stranger, but as a symbol of courage, trust, and the potential of a future where two worlds could walk together,